Oh, thankfully that was just a bit of ketchup. If that had been blood, I'd have probably been on the floor by now. Can't stand the sight of blood. Right, let's see what game we're covering today. Uh-oh. Hello everybody, welcome to the Re-Review, the series where I get to replay and reassess games from my favourite gaming era. I'm Brian, also known as UK Jens Zoidberg, and I've never really been a fan of the Beatles. In fact, when it comes to music, I'll take a great stonking Amiga theme tune over pretty much anything that's in the charts these days. Chris Hulsbeck, Barry Leach, Alistair Brimble, or in the case of this episode, the late great Richard Joseph, all provided the soundtrack to my life during the 1990s, and through these videos I'm trying to bring some of that joy to the viewers. In this episode I'm going to be taking a look at another game that has been suggested to us by one of our Discord members, and that game is Moonstone, A Hard Day's Night, which was developed by Rob Anderson and published by Mindscape in 1991. Let me cast your mind back to a simpler time in gaming. It was 1987 and I was playing games on a ZX Spectrum when Palace Software released a game called Barbarian: The Ultimate Warrior. In the US, you probably know it as Death Sword, published by Epix. This was a fairly simplistic one-on-one fighting game that was notable for one thing: the fact that you could chop off your opponent's head, complete with a suitable sound effect. This was a time when such violence in games could be a unique selling point, and the publishers knew it. Games could grab our attention simply by throwing a few red pixels around on screen. The arcade game Narc, for example, had you mowing down street punks in showers of blood, and the Amiga conversion, by Random Access and Ocean Software, was proudly advertised with the carnage front and centre. Two games arrived on home computers around this time, from a small Canadian developer called Grey Matter, and those games were Motor Massacre and Technocop. They were published in the UK by Gremlin, and they depicted near-futuristic cities where violence was out of control, taking their inspiration from movies such as Mad Max and Robocop. Part of the design team for both games was a young Canadian artist called Rob Anderson. Prior to working in the games industry, Anderson had studied animation at college in Ontario, and the circus-themed party game Fiendish Freddy's Big Top of Fun was a showcase for his animation. It was full of black humour and featured a surprising amount of violence for a game of its type. Failure in an event often resulted in the comically gruesome demise of your competitor. All of that violence could not prepare us for his next game though, a game that was so gory that they ended up having to include an option to turn it off in the menu. Moonstone, which ended up being subtitled A Hard Day's Night, was designed by Anderson and Todd Prescott, and took inspiration from Dungeons & Dragons, as well as the board games Talisman and The Dark Tower. It saw 4 knights, all of whom could be controlled by a human player, taking it in turns to explore the world in search of 4 magical stones. According to the game's advertising, the brutal fighting sections featured over 1,000 frames of animation, bringing to life many of the horrible beasts that you would come up against. Unfortunately, the level of violence in the game led to it being banned in Germany, which was actually a pretty common occurrence in the late 80s and early 90s. It also played a part in the game not being released in the US. When Toys R Us took a look at the game ahead of its release, they ultimately decided not to stock it. Seeing as 25% of all US game sales went through the company at the time, the publisher decided not to release it. This lack of an American release led to all the discussions of a potential sequel never really getting beyond the planning stage. Anderson returned to working at Grey Matter as either a producer or a project leader on games that included the Mega Drive version of The Incredible Crash Dummies, as well as the FMV-infused sci-fi action games Phoenix 3 for the 3DO. Following on from Grey Matter, he continued to find work as a software engineer at multiple games companies including Backbone Entertainment, Electronic Arts and Secret Level, who actually went on to be renamed Sega Studios San Francisco. After producing multiple games including Golden Axe Beast Rider and Iron Man 2, they were ultimately closed down in 2010. Now let's see what the critical response to Moonstone was on its original release, as we take a look at the reviews. Moonstone was one of those games that came out of nowhere in 1991. Hardly any previews had appeared in Amiga magazines apart from a single page in CU Amiga, so when the game turned up at the GamesX office for review, none of us really jumped at the chance to play it. The fact that it went on to become our X-rated game of the week with a score of 4.5 X's out of 5 was a major surprise, especially considering that other games reviewed in that same issue included Formula 1 Grand Prix and Vroom. My review of Vroom is one that I've already covered on this series way back in episode 18. The other reviews were a bit of a mixed bag. Amiga Computing gave it 89% and said that it was bloody good fun but a bit repetitive. The One and CU Amiga gave it 82 and 81% respectively. Both of them were full of praise for the atmosphere and sound effects, whilst at the same time saying that their game offered a little bit more than your average fighting game. Amiga Power gave it 73% and said that it was really good fun with 4 players, although it was a shame that there wasn't an awful lot of depth to the game's RPG elements. The lowest score of just 59% came from Amiga Format, who conceded that there was a potentially great game buried beneath all of the annoying bugs and appalling oversights, like the lack of a save game option. From 7 reviews, the average score in UK magazines was just 80.6%, and at the time of recording on the Lemon Amiga website, the user score is 8.66 out of 10 from 377 votes, with the majority of the user scores being a maximum 10 out of 10. Time now though for the playtest. Let's see how the game feels to play today. There have been many great intros on the Amiga, and this is definitely one of them, although I think I didn't actually include it in my best 10 intros when I did a video on that one just last year. But this is really nicely animated, and the music is making the atmosphere of dread build quite nicely. You also can't skip it, which is a bit of a strange one. So these are the only options that you get. Number of players, go on or off, although I don't know why anybody would turn it off. You've got a practice section, and then you can just select your knight. So I'm going to have a quick single player game. And these are the knights don't really have any special abilities. It's just which colour you want to be. So I'm going to be a blue knight. So there you go. Here is the world. I start in the top left-hand corner. Basically, if you play it in 4-player mode, then the different knights will start in the different corners of the map, and you get a limited amount of movement that you can do. So I'm going to move to this lair here, and this gives me the option to either go to the village or enter the lair. I don't think we have any reason to go to the village just yet, so I am going to go straight to the lair. And then this basically throws you into an encounter with a different creature, and you don't know what you're going to get until you get there. You have different moves that you can do. Oh, there was only one of them. That's perfect. I've got a couple of potions that I can pick up. Potions of healing. And a scroll of protection. So it is very much like a board game in the way that you get your turn and a certain amount of movement that you can do. So let's move down to this lair here. Killing these things is actually pretty tricky. If you don't time it right, then you will get spiked. Oh, it got me. Oh, there's another one. Ah! I'm going to try and move down to this one in the forest here. Is that it? Is that all of them? It is. No gold again, though. Just a key to the valley. If I wanted to, I could attempt to go and try and kill one of the other knights. Unfortunately, you also have no idea how many people or creatures you're going to have to try and contend with. Oh, and there goes my head. I do like the fact that you get the little bit of music between fights. I think it really adds to the atmosphere, to the whole. So you do have no idea. You have no idea what these other knights are doing with their time, other than being able to see where they're moving. So I'm going to try and fight this guy. Hey! Which means I can try and steal any items that he's got. He's only got 10 gold, and he's not really got anything that I don't have. Oh, the dragon is flying over. No, he's got me. Oh no. Is that it? Is game over? Yep, there's my gravestone. That is game over. I'm going to try and be a red knight this time. Oh, what that? Ooh. Ouch! And one of the criticisms that Amiga Format made of this game was that the game didn't pause to give you enough time to plug in a second joystick if you decided to fight another human opponent. And that always seemed like a bit of a weird one to me, because why not just load the game with 2 joysticks in already? Surely that would make more sense. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I must say, it does seem like the red knight is at a little bit of a disadvantage starting in that corner. See, that's game over already. What on earth is that thing? Not very friendly, I think is the answer. Oh, no. No, don't do that. That's mean. Okay, so he's bit my head off. I've got 29 gold. Oh, I'm up to 83 gold. Come on, I've got to be able to get to a village and spend that now. Come on. Okay, so what can I buy? I have 83. 25 for a claymore. I think I should buy that armor and that sword. Oh, there you go. I have lost all my gold because I tried gambling. It's a mugs game. Uh-oh. I was trying to move to that different lair, and I appear to have been attacked by a dragon. Yeah, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be fun, is it? Oh dear. I am unfortunately on my last life, though. No, don't you dare. Oh, no way. That was my last life, wasn't it? So I suppose that's as good a place as any to leave the playtest for today. So let's move on and summarise my thoughts. Atmosphere is everything in Moonstone. When you first load it up, you're treated to an excellent animated intro that sets the tone of dread perfectly. Add to this an excellent musical score and lots of great looking beasts to fight, and you end up with one of the richest and most well designed worlds on the Amiga. Grab up to 3 friends and you're going to have a fantastic time, taking it in turns exploring the world, discovering all of its locations and secrets. You actually have a decent amount of freedom in how you approach the game too. Are you going to charge headfirst into as many battles as you can? Maybe you're going to try and take out your opponents first and be the last knight standing. Or maybe you're going to try and take your time and use any of the gold that you find to buy some better equipment first. Thankfully, for me at least, any role-playing elements that the game has are extremely minor, and I didn't find that they got in the way of any of the fun. Unfortunately, as a single-player experience though, I found myself getting bored very quickly. For starters, it's very unforgiving for new players. For a game that is so reliant on your reflexes and timing, as well as knowing which attack is right for which enemy, it's a shame that the game just throws you in at the deep end and expects you to cope. I died many times over and got really frustrated doing so until it started to click, and the practice mode on the game's menu is actually nothing of the sort, being nothing more than a quick battle mode for 2 players. Moonstone is a game that's actually pretty hard to pigeonhole, and I ended up putting it in the Action Adventure Super League, although that only really tells half the story. It still sits comfortably towards the top though. If you think I'm wrong in the category where I put it, please let me know where you would have put it and where you would have ranked it. If you're playing it as a multiplayer game, then Moonstone is an easy 9 out of 10 title. Unfortunately, the lack of a decent single player mode drags the overall score down to an 8 out of 10. That concludes another episode of the re-review. If Moonstone was a game that you played back in the day, I'd love to hear your memories of it. All opinions expressed in this video are my own, and if you disagree, please do feel free to tell me why. If there are any games that you'd like to see me cover in this series, please feel free to join our Discord, where there is actually a channel specifically for suggestions. Discord is also where you'll find any news about what's happening on the channel, including our upcoming schedule, and while you're there, why not take part in our ongoing quiz, or our July score competition on Rodland and Dig Dug. The link to join our Discord is in the video description. For just $1.99 a month, you could also become one of our channel VIP members, which grants you early access to almost all of our videos. There are also some exclusive members-only videos, including extended versions of our gameplay videos that we now upload every Monday. Whether you decide to become a VIP or just like and subscribe, your support for the channel is always appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy retro gaming everybody. Bye for now.